Hi, everyone. Welcome to PRM Chats. Of course, this is Project Resiliency Movement, and of course, I am the CEO and founder of Project Resiliency Movement, Dr. Althea Wilbur Bates, and we're here for another week of our PRM Chats. We have committed as an organization for the Strong Woman Needs to Support the Most campaign for Mental Health Awareness Month for the month of May to then go through and commit to 4 sessions. That's 4 sessions all focused on the strong woman for the month of May. And of course, this is our second in the series of the 4 for the month of May. And of course, our topic for today, Hillary.
Hey guys, it's Hillary here, and our topic for the day is self-care. What does it look like, especially coming out of a pandemic? We kind of just want to visit that conversation of, what did we do last year, especially a lot of us being locked down? Did we even focus on our self-care, or were we too busy focused on COVID? So self-care is what we're talking about. It is May, it is mental health awareness, and we just want to make sure that you are taking care of you, body, mind, soul, spirit. That's what Project Resiliency Movement is about. Okay, so tune in. Please share this live. Maybe tag someone that you know that needs to hear this conversation, that's having a hard time, finding a moment or understanding what self-care means and the importance of it. But, join us for the next hour. I got my tea, so, hey, you get yours.
Tag, share, folks. And of course, we like to keep this interactive. Don't forget to actually offer up your chats as we're having the discussion here live. We want you to have the same discussion at home. And of course, drop in the chats your comments so this stays interactive and that we're having conversations and we're able to kind of like look at your comments live as we're actually doing this live chat.
So joining us today, we have 2 of Project Resiliency Movement's ambassador bees. We have with us to my right here is Amber McBride. And then we have to my left, which is Lorraine. Lorraine, say your last name, girl.
No, I beg you. But Mama B, that's
but we call her Mama B, and I call her Auntie Lorraine because that's what she is to me. She's an auntie all across the board. But we just wanted to have with us an authentic conversation because this is what these chats are about. We talk amongst ourselves. What does it look like? And we just decided that why not just go live with these chats and have everyone else join in the conversation too. So, hey, join us. And with, again, May being the kickoff for mental health awareness, and we're chatting about self-care, I like to let people know that self-care is giving the world the best of you instead of what's left of you. So many of us are too busy focusing on pouring from those empty cups. Now, okay, some might say, but my cup is half full. I can still give. But how much can you really give from a cup that's not overflowing? Ask yourself that. So we're going to start off with Dr. Bates. What's your opinion here?
I just believe that when you make that decision to give from a half-empty cup or like a almost dried out cup, you're choosing to give dehydrated love. I call that dehydrated love, and it's hard. It's hard. You can't effectively give from something that you are not offering to yourself first. And I think that that self-love has to start with self-love first. And so if you're not necessarily pouring into your own cup, finding ways to replenish yourself, finding ways to pour back into you, how can you effectively pour into others? And of course, that care has to come to yourself and for yourself first and foremost. You can offer up things at a half-empty cup, but again, it's given from a dehydrated or empty space, and that's not effective. And again, you're giving from your empty doesn't necessarily help you or the other person that you're pouring into.
Exactly. And Mama B, what you got to say?
The first thing that came to mind, and especially because it's Mental Health Awareness Month, is I don't think some of us think about, well, part of self-care is having the right mindset. Because with all that we've carried this past year, we know that we have to, everyone's different, and we ourselves have to see and do things differently. Learn what we've learned and, face those those unlimiting false beliefs from the past. And that came to my mind first in terms of being mentally aware that self-care is also looking at that aspect of how, where is our mind? Is that healthy? Gotta have a healthy mind to have a healthy life. So,
And I always ask the question, like, why aren't you a priority to yourself? For those who aren't necessarily choosing to love on themselves in a particular way, why? Ask the question, why? Ask the question to yourself, why aren't you a priority to yourself? And you'd be surprised if you're still enough, some of the answers that you get back.
Yes.
So
Yes.
make that time to be still and ask yourself that question.
and it's different for everyone too. I think depending on, I know it's different for me now what self-care is, and I'll be honest, guilty, because it wasn't until near retirement that I realized, wait a minute, Lorraine, you've got to take care of yourself.
You said retirement. What age was that? You know,
That was 2 years ago.
Oh my God.
So there you
Wow.
go. And I'm going on 68. So that's just an example of, but that's okay because I learned to be gentle with myself. And you don't, that's another aspect. You don't want to put judgment on yourself or others, especially with all that we've carried this past year. Because you never know. We already know.
I believe it doesn't matter what age you learn to care for yourself. It's just you have to start somewhere.
Yeah.
I think it's the
It's never too late. No.
for me, it's the physical part of it. With COVID, the depression and the drain you, you're stuck in the house. So, just getting out and walking, eating.
Changing your environment, right?
Changing your environment, also that improves and helps your self-care.
Yeah.
And for me, professional work, that I had to learn for self-care, because putting too much on you, putting too much weight on you, does affect your mental. It does affect your sleep patterns, your daily routines. So, knowing how to turn that off and be able to take care of you, to just rest, because then you're a better you the next day, and then before waking up sometimes, just take time and just in silence and just say things of, that you're thankful for, that you're grateful for,
A gratitude journal is self-care. Like just writing the things that you're getting up and writing the things down that you're grateful for, or putting the things out in the universe that you're grateful for. That's self-care.
Into existence.
That is self-care.
Yeah.
Just what you're saying is self-care.
Attitude of gratitude. That's what I mean. Mentally, like you said, get in touch with nature. And we're not used to having still time. We're so used to multitasking. Well, like Sister Ayana and our Tiffany said, multitasking is overrated. You don't have to do that, and be gentle with yourself. So when, as we all know, you can't do that thing, or you can't answer the phone, or you can't, we're so programmed to get it done. I know I will.
And I'm always this has been my motto for this past year: give yourself grace, girl.
Yes.
And I say that to myself every morning: give yourself grace, girl.
Yeah.
Give yourself the grace that you so willingly give up to everybody else. Give yourself that.
Because how can you love anyone else if you don't love yourself first?
It's true. True.
Forgiveness.
That's where it comes from. That weight, lifting that weight off is one of the biggest things. I think in self-care is knowing how to love yourself, especially when you've come from something, toxic or what have you. That's part of the healing process, because before you can be good for anyone else, you have to be good for you.
So right. It's so right.
Now, guys, you are just joining us. We're probably about maybe 10 minutes into our chat here. If you're just joining us, we're talking about self-care. What does it look like? What has your journey been, especially in this past year and a half, with us, climbing out of a pandemic, right? So Project Personality Movement, that's what we're doing here. We're having just a little chat about what self-care looks like. And, I love what Dr. Bates said about, giving yourself grace. Grace is something that a lot of us do not extend ourselves. We beat ourselves up, and we will literally abuse ourselves before we extend ourselves grace. Just like you want to give everyone else grace, grace starts from within. And I love what you said, Amber, about loving yourself and understanding that it's about you first. Because again, that's at home. You can't take care of everybody else if home isn't situated. You have a house, you have a temple right here. It starts within, right? Okay, so guys, in case you haven't noticed what I've been doing, I've been sharing this post with all of my peoples, and I'm tagging folks. So tag your folks and get them on this live. We want y'all to join the conversation.
Get your accountability partners in the room.
Is there someone that needs to hear this? I know you know someone that needs to hear this. So get them on this live.
And the other thing that comes to my mind, and I always say it to you guys, it's never too late. Forget the past, forget like myself. If you didn't do it before, know that you are that important.
Yes.
Don't wait. Do it for yourself.
When you know better, do better.
Do better.
You know, as you said, you started 2 years ago, and it was what? When retirement hit. I need us to get to the point where we are not waiting for retirement, because tomorrow isn't promised.
And COVID is definitely taught us that.
Yeah, oh yeah.
If COVID is hard as nothing at all, tomorrow isn't promised. So I need for us to get to the point where we understand that self-care is needed first and foremost, that it should be how you wake up and how you go to sleep. And it comes in many different forms: prayer, meditation, making sure you eat right. So self-care is not simply just going to get your nails done. Yeah, I went and got a pedicure.
Read my shirt. Read my shirt. Self-care is not bubble bath and spa treatments.
Right.
That's what the shirt says.
Right. Look, self-care.
It's dig deep work.
I tell people, self-care can be
It's
as simple
everyday work.
as reminding yourself. I don't know if everybody see my shirt, but it says self-care is sexy AF. I'm gonna let y'all figure out what the AF
I
stands
was going to
for.
wear my self-care shirt too. I had to get the demo.
I gotta represent now, okay?
Struggle me.
You're right.
Look,
And we're gonna drop the link in here. If you want to grab any one of these shirts right here, the one Lorraine's wearing or the one I'm wearing, it's in our store.
yes.
So feel free. Okay, grab your gear. Celebrate with us. We're your message proudly. Okay.
Yes. So another thing I do have is we have a ticket to raffle off to Project Resiliency Movement's Spring Bonfire, which is taking place next week, Saturday. Okay?
I'm excited, y'all. I'm excited for Bonfire.
Everyone that is on this live will be put into a raffle to get that ticket. So I'm trying to tell you people, get on here, stay on here, and stay with us till the end of the conversation. That's the rules. You have to stay with us until the end of the hour, and your name will be dropped into a raffle, and I will announce who that winner is. So here we go.
Can you see the comment?
Oh,
Yes.
no,
Christina, we see you. Christina says, yes, I am the self-care queen. And we saw that Judine is on here. So Judine says, I used to think that I'm not multitasking. I'm not doing enough. And it's just recently I realized that when doing too much, you actually don't get much done at all, because you don't give enough time to the things that are important, like self-care for one. Absolutely. I totally agree with you, Judine.
And you're not being present. That's
Right.
what I mean about being still is kind of foreign to us.
Right.
And you hit it on the head, Sister Dean, because we are so used to going that we don't feel
What
like
I learned-
we could stop.
I think related to that, last week I said that I used to compartmentalize my life. So like I would do a little bit of everything, and then I was the one burned out and stressed out, and then everybody else around me was great because I was giving a little bit of every myself, little pieces of myself all over the place. And definitely not necessarily pouring anything, dehydrating myself, and not pouring any life into my own self. And so you don't want to do that. You want to make room and space for yourself first and foremost, so you're good. So then anything you put out to others will be effective, will be well received, and will be from your place of abundance and not from your place of lack.
And you can't beat yourself up and compare to others, as we always talk about. What is self-care for you could be totally different for someone.
It looks different for
and
everyone.
that's okay. It is. It's different for everyone. You got to, again.
And the great thing about it is that it can be personalized. You can create your own self-care personalized plan. I'm not sure if Hillary Honeybee's going to get to that, but hopefully we can talk a little bit about what that looks like.
Oh, I was going to get to that. We could go there. So, again, it's not to say that, and I love what your shirt says, because that is exactly my thought. It's not just about bubble baths and getting, doing spa treatment. Self-care goes a lot deeper. I actually have a list that I'll read off at the end. But, when I think of self-care, again, I think of prayer. I think of meditation. I think of, winding down like maybe an hour before my bedtime and reading a book. Okay. I think of getting up and taking a walk in the middle of my workday. Granted, I don't always get to do that, but to me, when I do, that is self-care. Or maybe taking 5 minutes off of the top of every hour and just focusing on my breathing. So self-care doesn't have to be, going to the spa or, getting your nails done or taking a bubble bath. But hey,
I'm sorry.
say that again, girl. You gotta say
Use
that.
your sick days.
Look,
Yes, honey. That's what come to the beach. Use your sick day. Come to the beach on June 16th. Take that self-care day.
Yes.
Let's talk about that, Hillary.
wait a second.
I
You
remember
know.
black and gold. At the black and gold bathing suit thing.
Yeah, so y'all already know. What I do is for your Inner Goddess experience is that I organize 2 beach days each summer. It is usually on a Wednesday because it's the middle of the work week and it's the day I don't have to listen to people say, oh, well, I have invoices to do, or I have payroll to get in, or whatever. It's Wednesday. You ain't really doing nothing on a Wednesday. It's just like you working on a Friday. I'm just saying. It's Wednesday. So, the first beach day, I already put out the save the date. I will have an actual event put up before the end of this weekend. It's June 16th. Find yourself the sexiest black bathing suit, add whatever splash of color you want, and join us, because that's what we're supposed to do. Now, Amber, I loved how you said use your sick days, because that is something people do not do. I cannot stand to hear people say, oh, I've never used a sick day. Well, what do you think your sick days are for, people? Right. There's mental health days.
Mental health days.
And with the way the world is going, and especially how COVID hit last year, I don't know about you, but mental health is on its all-time high. We're celebrating it in the month of May.
Absolutely.
Mental health should be every single day.
365.
So come on now. You have sick days? That's what your sick days are for. Use them. Your job will, let me tell you, you're replaceable. Your job will find someone else to sit in your seat while you're gone. So guess what? Use those sick days.
Felicia just said, I was reading her comment, and she basically said that she felt herself burning out a couple weeks ago, and she remembered Hillary's words about make sure you make time for self.
Yeah.
And so that I just want to make the point about accountability partners and circles, and being in the right circles that will help you to encourage your self-care.
Yeah.
So if you're not in a group of people that encourage you to care for yourself, or surrounding yourself with people who want the best for you personally, your health, your mental health and wellness, you got to switch your circles. And that's real tough.
Yeah, and because
You got to switch your circles.
Yeah.
Because if anybody's connected to you, they're going to want the best for you. They're going to want you to take the best care for yourself, which means taking care of yourself and pouring into yourself. And if you're not having people that encourage you to do that, but are draining from your energy and being those energy vampires that we all know about, right?
Sucking.
Right. You're in
Right.
circles. I'm not saying that you can't be that circle, but you need a whole new circle that energizes you, that pours into you, that are your accountability partners. Right. They want you to win.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. They want you to be healthy, mentally, physically, and emotionally.
And if COVID didn't teach us anything else, we were all worn out mentally, physically, emotionally, every which way. So I think after all we've carried and risen above and gotten through, you got to take that time when it hits. Don't wait there either. And don't beat yourself up if it's a couple of days. Oh no, I got to do this. No, guess what? If you need 2 or 3 days instead of just 1 day, take it.
Take it. You don't get an award for not using your sick days. There's no award that you're gonna get.
Why do people think they get an award for not using their sick days?
Ain't no Grammy for that.
Granted, my coworker did tell me recently that I guess he got something for not using his sick days. And I was like, okay. I guess I'll never get that.
I don't want that award. I've never won that award. That's one award. I can live without it. I'm good.
Look, at the end of the day, when you're sitting at work, the top dog of the company is out on the golf course.
You know what?
Right, he's taking a
I
mental
spent
health
the day.
day.
I spent the day. Actually, a couple of us from PRM spent the day with one of our sister friends who was an ambassador yesterday, and we spent the time kind of pouring into her because she's seeing her father go through a very hard time in terms of progressively getting ready to pass away.
Right.
And you know, her story, telling us the story of her father, where he worked so hard for, you know, like basically 50 years. You know what I mean? Like, and you know, at the end of the day, it's super hard to see her father never be able to, not even able to enjoy the fruits of his labor, because he just kind of consistently worked and never took time to kind of like just miss family events, you know, just miss time, a lot of time with family, kids, just pouring all the hours into work, and then eventually retired, but then couldn't celebrate because he got sick. You know what I mean? So it's like, couldn't celebrate life.
Because we were taught, and back then,
No.
you know, all they knew was work.
Yeah.
You know, take care of home. You know, especially men back then. It was
Yeah.
take care of home. You have to be a provider.
Yeah.
So, you know, in some certain situations, they miss holidays. You know, they miss that family time.
Exactly.
And you can't get it back. It's irreplaceable. And so even the time with your self-care, you can't get it back. So when do you do it? You do it now.
No, absolutely.
We weren't taught
No.
to put ourselves first. We
No.
all know that.
No.
That went on for generations.
Right.
You know,
And it's
Nobody
I think we
told
need
us
to
it was
break this.
okay.
To make that point, I think we need to break the cycle of some of the things our families are probably have told us, which is just the work ethic. You know, our families maybe talk about getting an education, or you know, having a good work ethic, being a hard worker. But there's not a lot of space where you might hear families talking about, make sure you pour into yourself. Make sure you give from a full cup. Make sure that, you know what I'm saying, you love on yourself first. I mean, those are not common messages that are told from families. So I think a lot of it is demystifying those messages that we were taught, and then teaching different. We know better, we need to teach better. We need to teach the next generation better.
Right.
To love on themselves, to pour into themselves. Right, to make sure that they're healed whole before they take on the opportunities to be in a relationship with other people. You know what I mean? Like, so just making sure that we pass that message on to the next generation too. Now that we know. You know?
We talk about ancestral and generational
I was gonna go there.
kind of
but go ahead.
curses,
Yeah.
you know. Well,
Yeah.
here's the time, and my sisters hear me say this all the time. Keyword being, you have to be willing. You have to be willing to acknowledge and accept change, doing it differently, putting yourself first. Now, you know, we have to be willing to unlearn all those old habits.
Yeah.
But you know, also knowing too the difference between commitment, dedication, and self-care. And so
Yes,
I'm
ma'am.
recently guilty of that
Mhm.
because my current position at work, I'm committed, I'm dedicated. So I was putting too much pressure on myself,
Mhm.
which caused drain. It drained me physical, mentally,
Yeah.
etc. So, you know, my brain 24 hours was on work. So
Man.
the last few weeks, I was just resting when I went to sleep.
Mhm.
I finally shut that off, and I went to sleep, honestly, Thursday. I went to sleep. I shut it off.
Can you talk a little bit about how you did that for somebody at home that might be struggling
Yes.
with? How did you flip that switch? How did you make that transition happen within you?
Honestly, I prayed.
Personally.
Me personally, I prayed for peace and to be able to rest.
Nice.
I prayed, and I was able to get just that. And my shoulders and my back had been
The
hurt.
tension, right? Because
The
we
tension,
carry
right?
that. We carry that tension in our
Right.
shoulders and our
So you know, when I woke up Friday, this past Friday, was that yesterday?
Yesterday.
Yesterday, I woke up and I was at peace, and all of that back and shoulder pain was gone. And so I posted something about, I said, it's a good vibe. I said, it's a great day, and I feel good. And I do. I feel good. I feel great. And so now I'm doing that again. I'm reminding myself daily now, this is what you have to do.
You have to do.
I can
It's a
still be
lifestyle
committed.
choice, honey.
Right. I can
It's a
still be
lifestyle
committed,
choice.
But I have to take care of me.
Yeah, something interesting to piggyback on what you're saying, Amber. Something I take a lot of online wellness, and we're all big fans of Iyanla.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, I just took a course on choices and commitment, and these words stood out to me that I realized I wasn't doing myself. The choices we make have to be self-supportive, loving, and powerful. So those times you don't want to make those choices, that's where powerful comes in. But the more I looked at those 3 words, I said,
I like that.
Lorraine, you're not doing that. You've been waffling on that a bit. So it got me refocused to, okay, put it down, work on that.
I think
I'm going to work,
I think the key too is, as Amber said it, you said it really well, is that you knew what you needed and you prayed on it. I hear self-acknowledgement. I know what I need, and I hear self-accountability. I know what I need. I need to pray so I can focus on me. And then I need to rest and just be still. You acknowledge what you needed for yourself, and you held yourself accountable, and then you got it done. And that is something that we don't give ourselves grace to do. Okay? So how are you supposed to
Because we're always on the hamster wheel.
Yes.
Run it,
No.
spin it.
Look, I tell people I shut down technically at the end of the year, so usually my shut
And
down.
guess what? You probably running that race by yourself, against yourself. Thinking that, I'm running you're in competition with yourself. You know what I mean? Like, slow down anytime you want to, but mentally you're in this whole space of I gotta be on the wheel.
What we have to do
I gotta be churning stuff out.
What we have to do is we have to get to a point where we train others to understand that this is important to me. So if in order for you to understand what I need to train you so you can understand, no, I need to shut it down. And no, you won't hear from me today, or you won't hear from me for an hour. I need this time for myself.
You teach people
aren't gonna like it.
Yeah, you teach people how to engage with you. And that's the point.
But that is your birthright. You have that right to say no and own it and shut down and be fine with it. Again, give yourself grace, people. Stop playing with your lives, because guess what? COVID said tomorrow ain't promised. Next second ain't promised. We've seen enough death to know people aren't making it. People still aren't making it today. There are people still in that process of losing folks. And what are you doing for yourself so you can give yourself what you need?
Can we get, like, for the folks that are on, can you write a little bit of that in the chat? Like, what are you doing for yourself? So many people have passed and never had the opportunity in the last year to probably even really focus on themselves.
Yeah.
Right? And so they died without having that experience of really pouring into themselves. I don't want to be one of those people. I don't want to leave this earth and have any regrets about not necessarily making the time to pour into me so I can be the best me to then pour into others. I don't want to have any regrets, and definitely I don't want that to be one of them. So how are you, folks watching, and of course the people here on the panel, how are we making intentional time to really be reflective about what we need and when we need it, right? And making space and room for that, to attract that to us and to actually engage in that process. I guess is my question.
Yeah. And to piggyback on what Amber was talking about with prayer, we all know, because we're prayer warriors, this is the time to again be accepting and ask Spirit to show you the way. This isn't a time that you
Prayer
have
is
to
self-care.
be.
Prayer is self-care.
You don't have to.
I just want to make that point.
See,
Prayer is
God will
self-care.
give you the tools. Are you willing to utilize
Right.
those tools?
You gotta ask. Yeah. Because a lot.
Because some people think self-care is like this pie in the sky, unrelatable thing. No, prayer is self-care. Writing in your journal, pull up that journal, Amber, that you got. Writing in that journal is self-care.
Yeah.
Right? Doing nothing and being
self-care.
still is self-care.
Yeah.
So I just want to make sure it doesn't cost you anything. It doesn't have to. It could be tangible. It could be things you do every day, but you just don't know.
It could just be being yourself,
Right.
Being you.
Right.
And I was talking
Showing up as your authentic self is self-care. And not have putting on these different hats and masks on. Putting on these masks.
I'm great at that.
I'll take that cape off my head.
I'm so great at that one. But I was talking to someone yesterday, and yesterday or this past week, and she was basically like, She prays, but she didn't want to ask anyone to pray for her. And I had to remind her the power in prayer is
I need prayer every day.
the power in prayer is being unafraid to ask others to pray for you. They don't have to know what it is that you need, but just a simple, can you say a prayer for me? Because what happens is it's a domino effect. God wants us to pray. And sometimes it's hard to get us to sit still and pray.
And sometimes we just don't even have it within us to pray for ourselves.
So when you ask someone else to pray for you, now you're giving them that room, that space to pray and for God to listen, because he wants us to pray. That's what we're supposed to be doing. He listens to that. That's like a high for him. Think about it in that sense, okay? So
that's the relating of the relationship.
To ask someone to pray for you. They don't have to know what they're praying for you for, but don't be afraid to say, you know what, I need that. I need someone to say a prayer for me, and do so. So, guys, oh my God, look, this is a great conversation.
I like this dialogue.
Yeah,
good stuff.
Favorite topic. Yeah.
So,
I hope y'all are taking notes at home.
If you're just joining us again, I'd like to we're just having an authentic conversation, just something that we would do on our own, and we're just bringing it live to you. And today we're just talking about self-care. What does it look like, especially crawling out of a pandemic? So, if you're just joining us, definitely add to the chat. Let us know how it is that you feel about self-care, where it is that you're at, like what it is that you're doing. Hey, don't forget to tag a friend and invite them to join the conversation, because why? Somebody needs to hear this conversation. Someone needs to understand they're not by themselves. Okay?
Even going and getting your checkups, going to your doctor.
Absolutely,
that is
self-care.
Self-care.
Keeping up with your doctor's appointments.
Of you.
Yeah.
All of you, because no one else is going to do it for you.
And a simple walk. I mean, you might have physical stuff going on that you can't lift weights or do yoga or do whatever it is. Here again, whatever is going to make you feel good. A simple walk can do it for you. You don't have to go crazy or here again, like we always say, compare yourself to what somebody else does.
It's your own journey. Walk your own journey. Live your own journey.
Do what feels good.
Yeah.
Say for someone who's not in a group and they don't know about self-care. They don't have anyone to talk to. What do you say for someone who moves to a state where they're alone, and they're listening to this conversation? Where do they begin at?
Wow. I would say that begins with them acknowledging that they need, that if they feel that they need someone outside to help them with self-care, then start, figuring out where can you go, whether it's community centers, seeking out different events. Like Eventbrite is a great place to go if you want to know what's happening in your area.
And then there's apps like Meetup.
Yeah.
Where you can meet up for different types of things based on your interests.
Yeah.
So technology allows us to connect in ways no matter where we live.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And connect to groups of
and
people.
Just because someone is in another state.
I know somebody that did that moved from one state to the next, and then they were a part of, for instance, Girl Trek in one state, and then there was a local Girl Trek chapter, and were able to meet up because they were both a part of the National Girl Trek organization.
Yeah.
And they were tapped into that. They were able to connect with folks when they got to that.
Do I hear PRM going that shit?
Listen, let's go.
I just feel that in my soul.
Let's go. You better speak that thing.
Speak that thing.
There it goes. Put it in the universe, Amber. Speak that thing for us.
I don't think in a day of the age of technology, people are disconnected as they want to be. If you're really looking for sisterhood, if you're looking for companionship, whatever you're looking for, it really is right at your fingertips. It all depends on what you need. Now, if you need more of an in-person, well, now you need to make the extra effort to get out there and find that in-person. I know for me, when I started Erin and Guys Experience over 10 years ago, what I did was I know what I needed for myself. I brought people to me, and we would have meetups right in my home. That's how I got my sisterhood. That's how I built my support team, and it worked. now today, I mean, it's huge. It's big. Yeah, it's been that many years, right?
Yeah.
Right, going from my living room to
and I think that's such a good point.
Yeah.
And that goes for me too. I participated in my wellness journey. I participated in a lot of things.
Mm-hmm.
I was in a lot of spaces. I broke 2 legs, and I was trying to find ways to heal myself outwardly and inwardly at the same time for a lot of years. I did a lot of things: yoga, Reiki, everything you can think of on a wellness journey. Prayed, meditated. I joined a lot of groups, but there weren't a lot of narratives that connected me to women that could connect to me based on what I look like, or just based on common interest, or you know what I mean, or common, or what resonated for us, across the board. And so I heard God clearly say to me, "You need to build it.
Yeah.
If it doesn't exist, it's because you need to create that space." And that's how Project Resiliency Movement was.
And which is how I think Dr. Bates and I became friends.
Absolutely.
Because we did not know each other.
Right.
And me following that quest for other sisters that look like me, that
and God will align and attract them to you. When
Yeah.
you're seeking it intentionally,
we met and we hit it off. And from then I was a groupie. And from that, I went from being a groupie to now I'm on the board. So that, it worked. Her vision aligned with what my vision was, which is our quest for helping women understand the importance of taking care of self first, putting ourselves first. So, again, guys, this is, I can't, I don't want to beat us up over it, but it's just really about giving ourselves grace, being accountable, being acknowledging, self-forgiveness is huge. Huge.
Forgive others.
And the thing about it is, a lot of times we're holding ourselves hostage for the things that we didn't even know.
No.
Acknowledge the fact that you didn't know what you didn't know, and you gotta release that thing from you and let it go.
Yeah. And it's okay to surrender.
It's okay, and it's okay to say out loud if it's kids that you need to acknowledge that too. If it's friend relationship dynamics. Other whatever relationships, if you need to be accountable to that acknowledgement to someone else, that in that space I didn't know what I didn't know, but now that I do know, here's how I'm moving. Here's how I'm operating. Right? Exactly. Let them go. Drop them. That's self-care.
That's self-care. Drop that.
Yeah, dropping that weight, dropping them bricks. Dropping the expectation that I should have known. I should know everything.
Right. Because who we are, we're imperfect, right?
Right.
We're still flesh, so we're still gonna have flaws.
I think too, another aspect that we often talk about, do your best not to feed into the negativity. Wherever it is, they'll tell you, shut off the news.
Mm-hmm.
Don't saturate yourself with things that are negative.
Right.
Be it the news, people, situations. That's when you gotta pause and sit back, like I've learned so well from just this is at work.
Your circle changes, your environment changes, because can't everybody go where you're going?
No, and that's what I'm saying to you. I'm not saying to that for some people you might have lifelong friends or people that you've been around, and guess what? Year after year, you find yourself at the same space, having the same conversations, in the same place of stagnancy. It's because everybody's on the frequency, and nobody's willing to shift the frequency. To what I'm saying? Sometimes the frequency is super negative and super toxic, right? But that where the light comes in is when you connect with people who are positive, people who have the same goals, visions of moving to another level, achieving certain things, pouring into themselves, right? You begin to see things in a different light, right? Because you're on a different frequency. And you're willing to connect to a different wavelength of frequency.
Right. It's getting uncomfortable, getting uncomfortable. Taking a risk, because in order to grow, you gotta be uncomfortable.
And guess what? You might not be able to take the folks in that stage of your life or that season of your life into this place where you're going. And you gotta be okay with that. I think sometimes we gotta go everywhere as a tribe. No, you don't.
And that's so important for self-care.
You can't take the whole tribe with you, unfortunately. It just is what it is. Some journeys you got to walk alone. You got to be willing to walk alone. You got to be willing to walk alone and then connect with people who are aligning with where you're trying to go.
Right. And
that's self-care. I'm just going to put that out.
You got to take time out to not even tell anyone about what's going on. Be silent, be still, and handle that situation.
Yeah.
Take care of it.
Absolutely.
Take that time out and do what you got to do. Because you don't need all these different ears buzzing in your life, in your situation.
Especially if you don't know how to ignore the distractions. Especially
silence the outside noise.
Move. Especially if you just don't know how to move unapologetically in your space. Because the thing is, we look for validation, we seek permission, and it's like that is what we're getting from everyone else. Someone else maybe like, you know what, you're gonna tell them this is what you're doing, and oh girl, I wouldn't do that. Well, that's you. You wouldn't do that. But this is me. I'm gonna do it.
This is my journey.
This is my journey.
And you got to own and take accountability for your own journey. I think sometimes people think, oh, we're going to, when I move, you move just like that. No, that's not for every situation. Some journeys and some stages of your life, you got to move on your own. When God moves, you move just like that. That's it. Period. The only acknowledgement and validation you need is God telling you to move. You know what I mean? Like,
that is just a song that Lucas has that does not apply to real life. I don't care if you're single or in a relationship. It does not apply because
Shantae says real talk. Thank you, Shantae.
Your lane, your journey is your journey. Your lane is yours. We got to get to the point where we understand that it is okay to move individually.
Yes, it is.
No, now you can grow with people, yes, but you still have to move because.
And you can have shared paths and journeys.
Yes.
You can be on similar paths and journeys, and God can align you with people who are on similar paths and journeys. But you got to be willing to walk some of them journeys by yourself, just you and God. Sometimes in silence, by yourself.
Girl, you mean say
that's why I said another one of those old, as we know, societal, beliefs is that once we're able to be comfortable with the uncomfortable, whole lot of healing goes on, whole lot of peace goes on.
Absolutely.
In your mind, because that's not easy for people to do. I think we've all been there for years and years and years because nobody taught us that either.
Right.
That, yes, you can be comfortable with the uncomfortable,
And I think the other piece that I've learned too over especially the course of last year is that going to therapy has allowed me to understand that I show up as a protector. And sometimes that me showing up as a protector means I'm protecting people's negative behaviors because I want to cover things that would shame them publicly. And sometimes you got to let people be exposed.
Ooh.
And you got to let the protector, aspect of you go because sometimes that's the very thing that's draining your energy. Taking from you. Yep. It's showing up constantly in the role of as a protector for things that people are doing, good, bad, or indifferent. Yeah. And sometimes for you to be better, you're enabling that whole thing, and you're enabling your own draining. Yeah. That's what that is.
I think we said a mouthful right now. I don't know about you, but that I totally 100% got that, which is why I am so unapologetic about the way I move. And people be like, "Oh, but she's so selfish. It's always about her." No, yes, it is about me, but at the same time, it's about me protecting my space, who I am, what it is I want for myself, and that is my birthright. I'm entitled to that.
I never forget when you said that at one of our conferences. It's about me.
Hillary, you made a good point. Can you talk a little bit about setting boundaries as self-care and like how you went about that process? I think that would be amazing for people that are struggling with that. Because sometimes the struggle is I don't know how to set boundaries with people.
And then they don't stick to it.
Right, and then my energy gets drained because I'm constantly giving out energy.
Right. What were you saying, Amber?
I'm sorry, Amber.
When she answers that question, because Hillary gives so much to everyone. I'm her friend, so I know how much she gives to everyone. She has a Hillary month. How do you do a Hillary month when you do so much every other day? 11 months. How do you get?
Because people that don't tangibly understand how to do that. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
Well, I don't know if it came with age. I know as I got closer, because I'm 49, as I got closer to 40, there was a pull and a struggle, and I had to learn the word no, and I had to really understand what that no meant to my peace, what it meant to others. I lost people when I said no, but I also had to learn to be fine with the loss. Sometimes the loss it's not permanent. Sometimes it just means that people need to do a 360 for themselves, and you need to distance yourself
and start protecting them.
Right, and be okay with that. Don't be afraid to lose people, and don't be afraid to stand out and stand alone. I had to learn that, and that is really what helped me. And when I started to move in my unapologeticness, I had to say to myself, okay, I understand what everyone else out here is saying, but is it really working for me? And if it really wasn't working for me, then they was just noise. And I had to learn to sit still and
silence the noise.
To me, listen
silence
to what my God, and I quote, my God.
That's self-care too.
You know,
silence the noise.
I don't like to say God, but God is the same God everybody else pray to, because I know things that my God and me know, and we got a deal. We understand each other. So I like people to understand that relationship, that spiritual relationship, because I'm not religious. I grew up religious, but I'm not religious at this point of my life. That relationship I have with God has been the most blessed and best thing that's ever happened to me, because that is what has allowed me to move in my unapologetics, because of the fact that I know that God is the only one who has the right to judge me. And half the crap I do, if you really know me, trust and believe. I walk with light and grace and love. I'm just saying.
This is what I'm hearing from you, Hillary.
Keep moving.
That self-care is knowing who you are, but also whose you are.
Woo.
Absolutely.
Right?
Stop, girl.
So knowing how to operate in terms of knowing who you are at the core, at the essence, when you pull it all apart, who are you at the core?
Yes.
Right? And whose you are, who you belong to.
Yes.
And when you know who you are and whose you are, and you align the two.
Oh my God, it's a beautiful
walk
relationship.
in that space, right? That's self-care. That's self-care. Well, everything we're talking about today is self-care. That's also self-care. That begat confidence, self-confidence.
Let me tell you, you just don't realize
self-esteem.
how much
your self-esteem
energy we put into
self-worth.
We put so much energy into what everyone else is doing, and adding our 2 cents in what everyone else is doing. Allow people the grace to walk and thrive in their space. That, again, I keep using this word birthright.
Yep.
Y'all keep forgetting that it's not man that made life.
It's our birthright, honey.
It's God that made life. And for all of my religious folks out there, if you really understand that spiritual connection that you have with who it is that you pray to, you will know you have no right to tell anyone anything, especially when it has nothing to do with you. All you're adding is noise and distractions to their life. That is not for you to have that input. And we need to stop. We need to stop hurting each other. It's because what you're doing is you're creating a serious mental health crisis. Can
I just be transparent in terms of what you're doing?
Yes.
What you're doing is throwing your insecurities on other people. Let's be real.
100.
When you throw that noise people's way, it's your own insecurities that you're throwing on other people.
Yeah.
That has nothing to do with them. That's your pain, your hurt, your insecurities, your fears that you're throwing on those people.
And
so stop it.
Yeah, with grace, we have to remember that old adage of respect.
Mm-hmm.
You know, this is something that sort of became a lost art, still is in some circles, but that's got to be at the forefront. Not just, respect for yourself, but respect for others. Yeah. Agree or not agree, like my motto, you guys know, good, bad, or otherwise, being honest and showing respect for one another, no matter what. And
I like to add for this part, Auntie Lorraine, it works like that, whether it's yourself, whether it's your children, whether it's your significant other, whether it's family members. We have to understand that we all have an individual. You may have birthed that child, but you do not have that authoritative right to actually say to this child, this, you can't do X, Y, and Z. No, a lot of us are not allowing our children.
We're here for guidance, people.
Okay, not allowing our children to live their best lives because we're too busy interjecting our fears and what goals and dreams and desires that we wanted for ourselves.
Let's just say this: unfulfilled goals, dreams, and desires.
Yes, on our children. You got to stop that. We are all individual people, and we all serve a God that we choose, and we got to respect that. So.
And beyond therapy, we all know how many, our podcasts, our lives, the online courses. These are all part of doing that self-care.
Yes.
You might not think doing an online course for health or wellness or spiritual work and all that inner work, like I shared with these guys, 12 years strong. The more I do, the more my cup is full.
Amen.
Because it's God's
That's
way of
restoration.
telling
That's
me,
what restoration
yeah,
is like.
you need this. It's talking very clearly to me, and I'm listening. That's why it's so important to be still and listen. If we're not present with spirit, our personal spirit, however we see that God is, then we're losing out.
Yes, I agree.
Because,
but also God calls you to go into the sanctuary, which is everybody's journey is different. And ask God to show you which one to join, which one to belong to, which one is going to teach you the word, because, when you do go to church, we all think about the pastor as being, God. The pastor isn't God. He's there to deliver the word.
Let's go. Let's talk about that thing.
Carol Reed.
We go there to fellowship because as his word says, when two or more in an agreement, he's in the midst.
Come on now.
So I want him to come down my aisle and touch me.
Listen here. Church is happening right now.
Right here.
This is a message. This is church. 2 or 3 or more gathered, and we're telling truth. We're speaking from transparency.
Look, I did come across something online that I thought was very useful in our talk here. And there's different forms of self-care, people. So I didn't realize it's broken down in 6 different forms. So there's a physical self-care, and that's taking care of our bodies. It's just taking care of our bodies is a large component to self-care, but it doesn't always have to include a vigorous exercise routine. Sometimes it's simple as just going for a walk, making sure that you're eating, fresh fruits and vegetables daily, drinking your water. That is self-care. Take a nap. That is self-care.
Keep it simple, people.
Okay. So look,
15 minutes make your life.
I tell
life
people,
changing.
Absolutely.
I tell people, I've been one for the gym, but COVID taught me a big lesson. COVID taught me how to sit still. And I was still able to lose 17 pounds in COVID. While people were saying, I'm gaining weight, I was sitting up at home doing what? Sleeping, eating healthy, drinking my water, and losing weight. I did not really work out in COVID. Not as hard as I probably normally would. So again, it's really what it is that you're doing. Okay? Self-care doesn't take much. It's really how it is that you pour into yourself. Then there's emotional self-care. And emotional self-care is about becoming more in tune with our emotions. It's about checking in with yourself, becoming more mindful of your triggers and thinking patterns.
That's good stuff.
Whoa,
Triggers.
what? I found this one really helpful because I saw me all over this. And finding ways to work through them rather than bottling them up inside. And I know for me, I'm one that tends to be quiet until when I'm ready, I unleash, right? But I'm learning how to talk more. I'm learning how to speak more, which is one of my factors. So I'm really big on communication. But some ideas for emotional self-care is journaling, mindfulness, meditation, being creative and expressing your emotions through painting, writing, cooking. So, if cooking is your thing, baking is your thing, hey, do that. If pottery is your thing, figure out how to pour into those things that you like so you can take care of yourself emotionally. Then there's your spiritual self-care. Spiritual self-care doesn't necessarily have to relate to religion, although it can for some people. When you practice spiritual self-care, you are nourishing your soul. And your soul, for most people who don't understand, is your heart care. That's your soul care. That's what your soul is. Okay, how are you taking care of your heart? Your heart doesn't beat, you're no longer here, right? Okay. You are striving for inner peace. You're seeking to find purpose and meaning in life. Some ideas, again, is meditation, taking time in nature, donating to a charity that you believe in. So, take the time to, figure out, maybe, go for a nice walk. I know for me, like my Sunday routine has been doing a 6-mile walk to the river from my house. It's 6 miles to and from. I find it very peaceful. It works for me. Then there's the intellectual self-care. This is a type of self-care that includes doing something you enjoy that nourishes and challenges your mind. It expands your knowledge. Learning a new skill can be a type of self-care activity in this category. Some ideas is reading a book, learning a new language, watching a documentary on a topic that you're interested in. So, for me, I'm always trying to learn more about relationships, be it myself, how I'm interacting with people, be it my relationships with others, especially my significant other. So intellectual self-care. And then you have your social self-care, which is nature, humans by nature, social beings. This is the type of self-care may look different for introverts versus extroverts, because our levels of comfort with social situations differ. But, connection is important to all. So spending time with loved ones is something to think about. Spending time with old friends, calling an old friend out the blue and saying, hey, look, I haven't heard from you in forever.
I did that yesterday, and they were so excited to hear from me. And matter of fact, they didn't even know I changed my number. So they were like, I've been trying to find you. I'm so glad you called me. I didn't realize you changed your number.
I wanted to add to that because of COVID and we couldn't connect in person.
Social self-care
phone
is
dates
at its all-time low.
Phone dates, yeah. So you can still connect with
Absolutely.
folks, set up a day and time. Hey, let's have coffee together over the phone, cup of tea. I call that a phone date. And that just, you still make that connection.
Absolutely.
Because the other piece of that, again, from this pandemic was, instead of thinking about what we don't have or what we can't do, I think
you like what you do have.
You gotta really have that attitude of gratitude to think about what you do have.
And what I love about social media, I mean, I hear it all the time. Oh, I hate social media, but guess what? You guys are using it so wrong. Let me tell you. What I love about social media is they make these apps so efficient that we can stay connected. Like you can go into your messenger and actually call someone and video chat with someone.
Absolutely.
And you see them. You can
use it
choose
every
to
day.
turn it off or
every day.
put your video on, but at least you hear them. They can see you. They can they can get a sense of who it is, of what it is, what's going on. And then I know for certain groups that you can actually do a group chat as well. So
me and one of my groups, we actually do that, and we text each other every morning. It's good morning, Queens, but it's always something positive. In this particular group, a bunch of the women, they're graduating tomorrow with their master's degrees.
That's amazing.
So that's how we encourage each other. We go out together. We do.
I call that an accountability circle.
It is.
Even an audio, I was doing that when you hear someone's voice. So audible messages are extremely uplifting for folks, especially during this past year and a half, because you hear, if you can't see them, you can hear their voice.
I got one more. Sensory self-care. Sensory self-care helps you nourish your senses: sight, smell, touch, sound. So, how in tune are you with when you're out or when you're just sitting still? Which is an effective way to bring your mind to the present moment and helping you lower your stress levels. Some ideas is burning your favorite scented candle and really paying attention to the way the aroma comes from it. Listening to music. I know music for me is huge. Like I can listen to music all day. Walking bare feet in the grass. So, take off your shoes and really focus on your feet touching the soil and the dirt and the grass between your toes. Some things, or even sitting in the sun and allowing the sun to touch your face. What does that feel like? People, tune in to who and what it is that you need from yourself. Because without that, you cannot give to anyone else. And I would not expect you to give to me from an empty cup or even a half one.
So like, how do we want to probably wrap this up? Because I know we're
Give
getting closer to
yourself a
our time.
candlelight dinner.
Yeah.
Or lunch, or treat yourself to the things that, you think you don't have to go out to do.
Yeah.
You could do that right at home. And the calm apps, like you say, there's so much out there to help you feel better.
Amber, what you about to say?
Taking yourself out, what Mama Lorraine said that's important. But also, being able to invite others in, holidays come around, invite someone who don't have a loved one, that's also teaching them about self-care,
Yes.
showing someone else,
Yes.
that other people do love you. That's how you show that's how you bring other people in, is, show them that there is feeling love. There is somebody who cares about you, and so that's pretty much all I have to.
Dr. Bates?
I think it all boils down to our theme for this year, manifesting. And I think if you want self-care in your life, it'll manifest and it'll align itself to you, and the folks that will need to support you on your self-care journey you will be attracted to them, and they will be attracted to you.
So, guys, in wrapping up, I hope you enjoyed our conversation today about self-care. I want to leave you with this. You are worth the quiet moments. You're worth the deep breaths. You are worth the time it takes to slow down, be still, and rest. So remember that. It is your birthright.
Absolutely.
Okay? Finally, in closing, for all those that joined us, again, Spring Bonfire is next Saturday. We're going from 4 to 7. We
need you in the building, people.
We will be at the Bridge Healing Center in Farmington. Okay, tickets are currently still on sale. It's 25 for one and 40 for 2 people.
If you bring a bestie, that's 40.
Bring somebody, your bestie, your mom, your cousin, whoever. Hey, buy 2 tickets and call up a friend who you haven't seen in a while and surprise them. That's all. And for all those that are on the chat, I did say I would put you into a raffle, and I will let you know by tomorrow who actually won the raffle, because I do have a ticket that was sponsored, and we would like to give it to someone, and we can't wait to see you. And that's the other thing too. So if you know you have another obligation, but you know somebody that needs that bonfire, actually donate a ticket. Buy a ticket for somebody else and invite them.
No,
it's a sister space.
This is just for women.
Yes.
But I think I might have
forget to
Yeah. So, unfortunately for the men, it is a sister space. But guys, we have something special coming up for you in June, so pay attention.
And guys, don't be afraid to buy a ticket for your significant other and send them to Bonfire to release some stuff in that fire.
Yes, okay. Whatever you think that they got going on that you want them to release, sex is nice. Look, I'm just saying, I know something we didn't talk about for self-care. It is National Masturbation Month. Look, it is self-care, people. Get you some. It takes people buy yourself. Buy those tickets, people.
And we're gonna close on that.
It's gonna be fun.
Yeah, it's never too late. Do it.
Right. That's it.
So thank you guys. Self-care out.
Self-care out.